Why did India had to give up its only overseas base? Did India just lose a strategic foothold against Pakistan? Was it Russia-China pressure or strategic recalibration? India's withdrawal from the Ayni base in Tajikistan is not just a logistical move, it's a signal. A signal that says that the geopolitics of Central Asia are changing and China and Russia seem to be tightening their grip across this region. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to understand that what led to withdrawal of this significant overseas base that we had in Tajikistan, and also understand that how India is going to manage its way in terms of Central Asia foreign policy 2.0. So let us start with understanding that what exactly is happening. So India has an overseas airbase in Tajikistan, which is Ayni Airbase, and it is important because it is located just 10 km west of Dushanbe, that is the capital of Tajikistan. So if you see, this is the location of the capital of Tajikistan, and very close to it in its proximity is located this airbase. India got the occupation of this particular base in 2002 and it took over for the modernization of this airbase, which was before this held by Soviet. And now that is where the whole story gradually takes a turn, because this was India's first overseas military base, and it was intended that this will help India to have a position and also project power in Central Asia and also more importantly Afghanistan. And if you talk about the amount of investment that we have been doing there, that also has been huge. $100 million have been spent, be it for runway, fueling, hangars, maintenance facilities, and this has been facilitated directly by our Ministry of External Affairs. Now, this particular base was so important, we have to understand, because of multiple reasons. First, because of the proximity, not just the proximity to the capital of Tajikistan, with the proximity in terms of Wakhan corridor in Afghanistan, with the proximity to the Peshawar region, and with the proximity to the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So this location itself is very strategic if you see here, and it provided us a clear frontier when we are talking about the Wakhan corridor, when we are talking about Pakistan's northern province and also Pakistan occupied Kashmir in this situation. Apart from that, it also helped us in theoretically keeping an eye on western Pakistan region, that is the Peshawar region that I am talking about. It was important not just in terms of location, but what purpose it served, because it operated as more or less as an anti-terror hub, because it was supported by Northern Alliance, which was against Taliban, if you are talking about duration, pre-2001. So we have to understand it is not just about the sense of the location, but what can be done with that by being present in that location. Now this is where we understand that how come we landed up there before we get into understanding why we had to withdraw from that particular place. So we entered into a simple lease agreement that was between India and Tajikistan, and this deal was for 20 years, which will give you an insight into why we are withdrawing. And the deployment, which will also help you understand the significance of this base. We had 1500 to 200 Indian Army. Then we had Air Force personnel as well as there at the peak whenever it was required. We also had position of helicopters, Su-30 MKI fighter jets, and they were placed intermittently as on the base of requirement, just as we see for the personnel. So this also signifies that that airbase was not lying defunct. It was fully functional for the purposes it was set there. Now, as I said, this gives us an insight into the fact that how we landed up there. It also gives us an insight into the fact that how we came out. Now, let us understand the functionality there. It helped us in logistics, refueling and repair hub. It supported all the Indian operations and as well as intelligence especially when we are talking about Afghanistan, and it also had a very important diplomatic symbol because it elevated India's profile, especially when we are talking about CSTO and SCO framework. And this is where India got to showcase that we have the ambition to be a regional power and also a regional stabilizer, because we get to be present in a position Central Asia and just on the side when we have Middle East Asia, which always has been chaotic if you talk about Afghanistan, Pakistan. So we can be in places where we can gradually upgrade to a regional power apart from the region where we are existing, and also work as regional stabilizers. Now let us move and understand that why we had to withdraw. So first, as I said, because the lease agreement was from 2002 to 2022, this is where Tajikistan declined to extend the agreement. Now this is the on paper direct reason, but we have to understand that why did Tajikistan decline this for the renewal. So the first reason here is Russia's pressure. Russia basically operates 201st military base in Tajikistan, and this was Ayni and this base overlapping with each other. Apart from that, with that, Moscow clearly wanted, Russia clearly wanted that this should be brought with Ayni to consolidate its control. So there is no parallel other country working. Even though India and Russia have been very good allies to each other, Russia wanted to consolidate its own control because Central Asia, again, very important in terms of resources, very important for trade, and definitely you would want to be present across the world as regional stabilizer and regional power, and Russia did not want to shy away from that. Another key player in this whole situation is China. China has been increasing its influence, be it through Belt and Road initiatives or be it through security posts near Afghan border, because China understands the chaos and the instability Afghanistan has experienced. China has a space to enter. China looks for space, such spaces to enter. China's expansionist tendencies, either they work through credit or through chaos, and this is where they were really interested. And Beijing would never want India to have such a stronghold in the place where they want to operate. After that came in another regional player, that is Afghanistan. So since 2021, Taliban regime has been in Afghanistan, and if Taliban regime is present and India started with Northern Alliance against Taliban pre-2001, it does not make sense. We are already sitting with Taliban's foreign minister was in our country for strategic engagement. We have to understand, even though we are not recognizing this government, but at the same time, we are engaging with them. That means there is no point of keeping them to control the chaos, because the chaos that you labeled is controlling Afghanistan as of now. And then comes the logistics and cost. It has a landlocked geography, high maintenance cost. We would want, if we are sitting there, it should give us benefit. Just for the name of that base, we shouldn't be maintaining it because we have to pay for it. So amidst this all factor, this is what led to the withdrawal of India from Ayni base. But the question comes with it that what are the consequences? Are we aware of the consequences? The consequences, yes, there are many. For example, the first consequence is the reduced military footprint, that we do not have any operational forward base in Central Asia. Furthermore, this vacuum that we will leave, it will be filled either by Russia, which has taken control of Ayni and it is strengthening its CSTO grip, and China, which we do not want because it is spanning both economic and also security footprint in Tajikistan to make sure that it has a permanent entry point to Central Asia as well. Apart from that, another huge consequence that we have to understand, that it will have a direct impact on Pakistan. The kind of monitoring that we had, that will go away. So the Western strategic pressure that we maintained on Pakistan, that will go away and Pakistan will gain a breathing space. Apart from that, this will also send in a regional message. If we were talking about Ayni base as a point, as a pivot for regional stabilizer, the moment we withdraw, it signals strategic realism and it becomes a symbolic presence. That we do not want symbolic presence. We would rather have strategic realism where we actually can operate. And yes, it also signals towards a strategic setback. It definitely highlights that India would have a limited capacity to project power and to conduct any sort of air operations when we are talking about in this particular region. So what happens from here on? What does India do? What does our way forward look like? Way forward is to go back to point zero, that is diplomatic channels. Work on diplomatic channels, strengthening engagement through India and Central Asia dialogue, and especially bringing SCO into the framework, because here we have Russia and China both present. Then, not losing on the connectivity part, using the key points where we are already present, be it Chabhar port, INSTC, and using other players, be it Iran, Armenia and Russia. And making sure that we are reducing the dependence on any Pakistan routes which are present. Furthermore, we can also focus on defense diplomacy, where we can increase training, intelligence sharing with all the Central Asian militaries, where the benefits we were having of having a military base in Central Asia can be reaped here as well. Second, economic and cultural presence. We can bring in education, IT, culture, pharmaceuticals, and use that as a soft power push in this region. And at the same time, when we are tapping into the potential of Central Asia, we still maintain our ties in the Indo-Pacific region. That means we reorient towards maritime strategy, because as much as we want to do with Central Asia, we can't forget that it's landlocked. The benefits here are different, maritime benefits are different, we would want that. And this loss should be taken as a time to refocus, re-synergize towards all-time continent projections to moving maritime assets assertion as well. Now, on this note, I would like to conclude by saying that when we are talking about Ayni base, we have to understand that this is just the end of a chapter, not the story. And this was a symbol, and it simply symbolized that India had strategic ambitions and still does beyond South Asia. This closure is not a full stop, it's a transition, and we will gradually find other ways to reflect and stand up for what we want. Now, I'll leave you with a practice question here. You can put down the answers in the comment section. And now I'll be telling you the answers for the last question that we did in yesterday's video. The correct answer here is A. You can put down your answers of today's question in the comment section. I'll reveal the answer in the upcoming videos. Thank you so much.